Hey, thank you for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I'm your host, music producer Chick with Beats, and I'm glad that you've joined me. Today's episode, I'm highlighting conversations that I've had with educators about the impact of music education, featuring Deidre D. Essence Smith and Jetro Da Silva. And as always, I gotta give a shout out to my home station, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then I'll be right back with the episode after this. Keep it locked. Hey, I'm a Chick with Beats, multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit chickwithbeats.com for resources for artists and instrumentals in various genres available for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's chickwithbeats.com. That's ACHICKWITBEATZ.com. Let's make something happen. I have in the virtual building with me today, I mean, what doesn't she do? She's an artist, she's a writer, she's an educator, a poet, lyricist, and like everything. I'm sure I'm probably leaving some stuff out too. But I have Deidre D. Essence Smith. And you know what? I just want to thank you right off the top for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and speak with me. I appreciate it. I know the listeners will appreciate it as well. But if you could kind of give them a little bit of background as to who you are and how you got involved with everything that you do.
Absolutely. First off, thank you for having me back. It was such a joy last time. I appreciate your enthusiasm and your willingness to have me on. So thank you again. My name is Deidre D. Essence Smith. I am a lecturer for the School of Music, Theater, and Dance for U of M. I'm also a cultural ambassador with the State Department and Next Level program formally. And I facilitate a workshop that is actually the course of my class at U of M called SIMMIT, Speak Your Mind, Mind Your Speech, Recognize and Empowering Your Words. And so I take that workshop and I teach it in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, organizations, colleges, what have you. Wherever I'm beckoned, I answer the call and I educate through art. And so I myself am an MC, sometimes a vocalist. But don't sing as well or as much as I used to. And I'm also a songwriter and recently an author of a children's book that should be released pretty soon.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think that's going to be, for me, the highlight of my career. Wow. But yes, I'm so excited about that. But I'm a Detroit girl, East Side, and I reside on the West Side now. I believe in investing into the city of Detroit, so I'm big on community and sowing back into the city of Detroit the way that it's given to me. And I'm all about amplifying the citizens with my Detroit Everything initiative. And so I'm kind of like an around the way girl.
I love it. So, okay, right off the top, on my Detroit Everything, the initiative is powerful. I see it all across my social media platforms. So, kudos to you for that. But you did say you want to sow back into the city the way it's sowed into you. How do you think that Detroit, if you could quantify it or qualify it with words, how would you say Detroit has shaped your artistry?
I think that the landscaping alone does something to me. Just to have grown up in a neighborhood that I did on the East Side and saw just intergenerational interactions with community members and citizens alike. I remember seeing both the beauty and the ugly within the city of Detroit, human nature at its best and worst. And I was always able to draw upon that by just, first acknowledging my own faults and my own successes and all those things that come with age and experience and just living life. And Detroit has a way of, I always say it has the hustle and bustle of a big city, but then it quiets down like a countryside at night. And so you have all of this experience and wonderment to take on in the day, and even into the evening. But then late at night into the wee hours of the morning, you have peace, you have solace, you have calm, and you have a time to reflect. No matter your situation within the city, it has a grace that allows you to be still and to be quiet. And I don't think many people recognize how blessed we are in the city of Detroit to have that. Most major cities that hustle and bustle, they don't stop hustling and bustle. They don't rest. But here in Detroit, we can get our hustle on, we can get our grind on, be on our Detroit everything, and then at the end of the day, we can rest our heads and, think about, what we've accomplished or what we could do better in the quietness and the stillness of that calm.
Wow.
And so that's really shaped the way that I approach my artistry. Even my projects, you can hear them as some such genre hopping and such mutable moods throughout my projects. You hear me go from street, almost gangster rap, underground rap, more conscious rap, some singing, neo soul or R&B tinges to it, even some rock. And all those things are just indicative of the experiences that I've had in the city, in the places that I've been, and shoulders that I've been able to, rub against. And so the city has definitely, if we weren't able to quantify it and give it some kind of a weight, it holds a lot of weight just being here. And I think it's something in the air about Detroit that just, if you don't think you're an artist, you can become one, just haphazardly almost, just stumble into some artistry. That's just the air that it has,
That's hilarious. Yeah, I actually experienced that my first time performing there. It might have been my third time performing ever. And I would not call myself an artist. But by the time I got off that stage, the way that I was embraced and encouraged, I started saying that, like, okay, yeah, I can actually. So, yeah, but I mean, everything that you just said about that was so beautifully poetic. I mean, wow. For it to have that kind of impact and for you to recognize exactly how it's kind of shaped who you are and what you do, I think is a wonderful thing. With all the different things that you've got going on in the education, you've mentioned, being able to stand on the people, before you, like your elders and everything. Is that part of the reason why you take so much time into giving back and educating the youth?
Yes. My love for agriculture that I have to get back to came from my grandfather and from my science teacher, Miss Gilbert, who passed many years ago now. But just from home into the classroom, we had very loving adults and guardians and parents, teachers that were instrumental and invested into our well-being and into our education. And I'm so thankful because they knew that education existed outside of the classroom first and foremost. And so even with Miss Gilbert, she would teach us inside of the classroom, but often take us outside of the building, out of the school building, to actually demonstrate what we had just learned. And even still today, a couple of the trees that we planted are still up. The school has since closed and been boarded up and gutted and everything, but the trees are still there. And it's that means a lot to me. Those were planted in the mid 90s, and I feel good about being able to give back and being at an age. I'm 41 now, and I'm being at an age where I always wanted to be this age. I always wanted to be 30. And then I said, I always want to be 45. And now I can't wait to get 75 and all those things. Like, I want all of my years because I want all of the wisdom that comes with it, all of the nurturing spirit that comes with it. And in my classroom, I teach more about life outside of it than I do the curriculum itself sometimes. And I really try to drive home the fact that education is, a live thing. It really is. I mean, we can get our degrees and we do have them. But at the end of the day, nobody says, she was so awesome. She was so degreed. They might mention, you were, degreed in this and that, whatever, when, everything is said and done. But for the most part, they say, she's so funny, or he was so warm. He was so giving, so intelligent this way. And it's always far away from what you think that they would praise you for. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm in the classroom, I try to be all of the things that are valued outside of the curriculum and outside of academia. And I try to tell my students that they are worth way more than the grade that they're going to get in class too. Mm. And so I think in doing that, I try to honor the lessons taught to me, the way that they were taught to me, and who taught me those. Mm. And I think that will leave a better impact and a more lasting impact than the A's that students will get.
Yeah.
And so, I just said, I told a friend last week, I was coming home from class, and I posted a video of some students that spotted me on campus. One currently enrolled in one that was last year's, student. And to have that embrace and that excitement on their faces still. I mean, we're at the end of the semester now. And then the gentleman who was on the film, it's been a year. And to have that smile on his face still, and to get those embraces, I always wanted to be like the favorite teacher. Like, how lucky am I?
Yeah.
Now I get to feel what my teachers, I hope that they felt from me, those that were my favorite. That's a great feeling. That's a great feeling. And so, I pride myself on taking those warm, fuzzy, but also instructive and directive, lessons, and applying them to the way that I teach. Mm-hmm. And I think it's been okay for me. It's very real. It's very organic.
That's what's up. But yeah, especially if you're getting embraces at the end of the year, that lets you know you're doing something right, for sure.
I hope so. I really do.
So if we could maybe talk a little bit about, I think it's kind of like twofold to be able to kind of get in the creative headspace to create for yourself, but also even to educate others in how to get into their creative process. Can you walk us through that a little bit and maybe talk about what that's like for you and how you kind of get into both modes, either to teach the creative process or when you're about to create something?
Mm-hmm. So once again, I draw up on that quiet stillness. Mm. And then I'll hear a melody first in my mind. Mm. And I'll kind of hum that melody, and then I'll start to create, like, it's very staccato, my cadence first. Even though I hear this like very sequential, very smooth melody, I'm kind of like non-linear and a little all over the place while I'm doing a staccato like pattern to this melody, because I know that I'm going to insert those words in those, kind of scat like cadences that I'm doing right now, like da-da-da. Yeah. And I'm doing something, and I rock. I have this rock that I've been doing since I was a baby girl, and I rock back and forth, and it's like my internal metronome. I have about a speed of 60 BPM. I always say that's my natural internal rhythm, 60 BPM, and so I rock at that rhythm, even when I'm doing something a little bit more fast paced in my mind. But that's my internal metronome, and then I compose that way. I see what comes out. And as far as the class, how I instruct students in their creative processes, I give them history first and foremost because of the course that I teach, which is rap history and songwriting for the purpose of performance, live performance. Mm. And so with Simmons, I take you all the way from, the origins of hip hop and the influence that the states have had with hip hop and how it's become ubiquitous. And I talk about the cohesion between, West African griots to the, MCs of America. And I talk about the, unassuming kind of bridge with Europe that kind of helps to be the glue between the States and Africa to hip hop. So I take them through that, and I talk about the lived experience of African Americans that were actually doing hip hop, but they hadn't been credited for creating it. Like I showed them the Jubilaires, which is a very popular thing to do now in hip hop courses. But way back when, you know, I've talked about the Jubilaires, I'll talk about Ella Fitzgerald and her scatting ability and how she was so in the pocket, and she go from singing, you know, this beautiful songs and ballads to scatting, and her rhythm was very reminiscent of early rap for me.
Yeah.
And I would talk about how hip hop has this date on it as being 50 years old, but I can take you back at least 75 years before that even. Mm-hmm. So we talk about that. I take them through that because I have a very mixed demographic in my course. The only thing that is a commonality is maybe age, young adults, but from various backgrounds and races and cultures. And I want them to know that it's just not enough to come in the classroom and be ready to rap. Mm. Why are we rapping? I tell them about the principles and the elements of hip hop. I tell them why they're necessary. I let them know that this is first and foremost a genre of visibility for those that are oppressed or marginalized. Mm. And so once they get that down, they understand the soul of it all. They understand the purpose of it all. They become more intentional. And then I work with their confidence. Mm. So having known what you know, I made them write 25 to 30 minutes out of the class. You have to write a piece. And that's not a lot of time. No. So your main focus is really tapping into yourself and bringing forth something that you maybe never thought you could bring forth. I get a lot of students that say, you know, I'm not an artist. I'm certainly not a rapper. I'm not a poet. I'm not this. And granted, they might not be. Some of them are neuroscientists, and some of them are first string violinists and things of that nature. And some of them just, they haven't quite determined what they'll major in yet. And they come in and they write, and we write for a few months. And then I have them for their do a final live piece of an original work. And the purpose of all of that workshopping, if you will, is to show them the progress of their confidence. On the last day of class, I have them read their week 1 piece, and then I have them perform their final live performance piece. And then as a group, we critique their Genesis and their Exodus. Mm. And my hope is that you will not leave this class the way that you came in here. Because if you leave it the way that you came in here, well, we wasted a lot of time. But there's never been a time when anybody has left the way they came. The nerves are non-existent. The smile is brighter and bigger. The sense of community in the class is further established. They actually have such a camaraderie and a sense of community in the class once we finished, that some of them have gone on to do collaborative works together. Mm. And these are people that you might not have known from Adam. Maybe you had a class with them before, but you never spoke to them. But by the time you finish my course, you have a sense of community and you have an original work. And not only that, but you have a whole catalog of work to draw from. Wow. Should you desire to continue. So I do that approach in regards to the classroom, and it's not far from what I do for myself, but I haven't had to do that for myself since I was a younger woman. Mm. Now, as an older woman who isn't necessarily striving for what I thought success was as a younger woman, but I've shifted it to the success of my students. It means something else to me now, so I don't have the same vigor as I once did, but I have the same intentionality. Mm. But it's not for studying for me.
Wow, that is phenomenal. Man, I feel like you just dropped so many gems in a short amount of time right there. Especially mentioning how, you know, okay, you're not coming in here just to rap to be rapping, but to explain why and to give them a purpose behind it. I feel like that's more of that is needed today, I would say. If you check anything online that might be hip hop related, you can basically see like a generational divide right there. Nowadays this, that, and the other, and there's a lot of complaining about like, oh, they don't know good music. Well, you haven't showed it to them. Like who's supposed to teach them So I love the fact that that you can connect the past with the present, and to have people not rapping just to be rapping, but to be intentional behind it, I think is a beautiful thing. And I just wish there were more educators like you doing what you're doing. That's phenomenal, and I commend you for that. Hats off to you for sure.
Thank you. I would like to say that I think there's a burgeoning group of educators, hip hop educators, that are finally being welcomed into academia at a higher level than they have before. And I say that actually with a little irritation, because if you commercially accredit 50 years to hip hop, why are we on first generation educators?
Oh, yeah. That's an excellent point.
Yes. Yeah. There's been a couple of generations now that have grown up on it, that have been taught through it.
Yeah.
And we're just now seeing hip hop educators.
Right.
Being called. Now we might have been able to flip, some hip hop themes into our curriculums before as younger adults and being influenced like we were, but to actually legitimize it, quote unquote, legitimize it through, having tenures at universities and, things of that nature. That's a travesty to me.
It is, because I believe, and I hope I'm not misquoting that time frame, but even Jay Rawls, I think he's only been teaching hip hop at Ohio State like for a few years by comparison. Mm-hmm. Like even if you look at what he's done throughout his career, like you said, why now? Why is it taking this long? But yeah, I mean, kudos to you and the other ones out there doing what they do. Because it's definitely needed. And considering how music's been kind of stripped from, some of the elementary schools and all that stuff, they don't really have the exposure that a lot of us had the opportunity to have. So yeah, I think what you're doing is phenomenal. It's important. It's needed, to kind of keep good music going. Of course, it's supposed to change. It's going to grow. But yeah, you still need to have that foundation there, because I believe that that's why a lot of the golden era hip hop sounded so good, is because a lot of it sampled from previous eras. You know what I mean? So like we still kind of had that. Yeah. So yeah, kudos to you for what you're doing. 2024 is almost out of here, but you mentioned you got the book coming. Are there any other projects? I'm not saying that you got to spill the whole tea, you don't have to give away the secret sauce, but is there anything we should be looking out for from you in the next coming year?
Yeah, absolutely. Another project I've been working on. And let me tell you, when I got that beat from you, honey, please, I laid that song out. I laid that song out immediately. It's recorded.
Oh my goodness. Yay.
It's so nice. It's so, oh my goodness. I love it so much. I got to let you hear it.
All right.
So that's going to be on the next project. And it's going to be real chill. I really, I have a lot of great songs recorded. I just don't see where there will be a cohesiveness for the project just yet, but the music is there. So I think I have a few more songs to record, and then I want to envision the pacing of a project and see what songs are worthy. Because right now I'm like really, I'm rapping my ass off on some stuff. I'm being very laid back intentionally on some things and not being as lyrically dense. I'm letting it breathe. So there's a lot of variety, and there always is with my projects, but for whatever reason, I don't feel like this one is quite ready. It's not quite what I like things to be like yet. Okay. But I have some great projects. It's almost like I describe like this. It's almost like I have these great songs recorded, and they're like great for somebody were to call and say, "Hey D, you want to be on the compilation?" Sure thing, I got something for you. You know, like it's not like that. But what does it make sense as a project? You know, as a whole, is it cohesive enough? So, I have to go back and listen to some things and see what I like and pick some things apart. Maybe re-record some things if the mood fits. And yeah, we'll see. But definitely new music. And definitely the children's book. And that was actually gonna get sent to the presses last night. I found it. I found a faux pas in there, so I had to get that cleaned up really quick. And hopefully, I'll get it to the presses tonight or tomorrow at the latest. But yeah, so you can expect that. You can always expect me to be at you know, any place that calls me, any university or any organization or school that calls me to teach Simmons. Once again, at Speak Your Mind, Mind Your Speech, Recognizing and Empowering Your Words, which is the workshop and course that I teach. And also, I'll still be doing my cultural ambassador work wherever anyone calls me in regards to that. As a global citizen of hip hop, I'm always ready to link up with other global citizens of hip hop and rock out on this ubiquitous vibe, you know? So just, yeah, it's no telling with me. I'm so full of ideas and so full of action. I have so many things in the air at once. I think I said this last time, I say it often. I want to exhaust every talent, skill, and idea that is worth bringing into the light before I leave up out of here. I want to be able to say, God, I exhausted everything you blessed me with. Mm. And I hope to have done it in a way that, you know, is approving of them. Yeah. But I want to exhaust everything. So I'm constantly coming up with ideas for friends and proposals. I just did a proposal draft last night. I just do it on a whim, and I just compose these different proposals of ideas where I think programming should be and who should run it. And then I run it past friends who I think will fit or benefit from it. I connect people with people that I think could benefit from each other. So I want to exhaust everything before I leave up out of here. So next year, I hope to do things bigger and better. And I hope to have more partnerships moving forward. I plan to be a very lucrative woman, honey.
I love it. I love it. Well, you know, again, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and everything that you're doing right now. So yeah, I really feel special that you came on the show, and I really hope, especially with all the things you got going, that we can find some time for you to come back and keep us updated on what you got going. You know, while we still have these connections, you know, before you get all big and blow up, and yeah, you know. But yeah,
one thing's for certain, two things for sure is if we vibe and it's good, the spirit's good there. The Holy Spirit prompt me to be there, I'm gonna be there.
Love it.
I don't care how big I get. Like, it's always Detroit for me. Y'all always gonna find me somewhere loitering.
I love it.
Loitering on these Detroit streets and stuff, and you know, going about my business in my Nike slides, shopping or something. You know, I'm on the way. We're gonna be here.
All right, that's what's up. So yeah, before we go ahead and close out, I want to make sure that the people know where to follow you and keep up with what you got going. And also, if there's any other shout outs that you need to give or want to give, you can do that now too.
Yeah, check me out. Put in hashtag on my Detroit everything. Also check out D-Essence on Instagram. That's DSSENSE. Facebook, Deidre D-Essence Smith. And also on Facebook, D-Essence. That's D.S.S.E.N.S.E. On YouTube, catch up on some of my music, some of my latest music on YouTube. And then I think still on Bandcamp, that's some of my older works. Check that out. And yeah, I'm everywhere. And as far as academia, check out Simmons Ideas with a Beat at U of M for the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. And then also check out some stuff with Global Ties Detroit. Check out some things with Alumni Ties. Those are some places that I've sojourned through my cultural ambassadorships. And yeah, check out anything. Like I'm on there goofing off, or I take you from one extreme to the next. I'm either being incredibly goofy, incredibly insightful, spiritual, or just incredibly ratchet. Who knows? Just check it out.
It's about diversity.
You get yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
In the virtual building with me today is the man known as Jetro Da Silva. I mean, a phenomenal musician. He's got a long roster. He's an educator. I mean, you know what? There's so many things that are a part of his resume that I should probably just go ahead and hand it off to him. But, first of all, before you even get into all that and how you got started, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and chat with me and the listeners. So if you could kind of give a brief background as to who you are and how you got involved with music.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me here in this in your podcast. This is very exciting, especially learning that you come from the Midwest, the state of Michigan. So I have a dear special love for you guys. My days work with Perry LaBelle and Gladys Knight. We used to do dates and around there all the time. And that's when I learned firsthand the relationship between Detroit and Chicago, where musicians are borrowed from everywhere. We use the same horn sections that were from Detroit in Chicago, or vice versa. So it's like, oh, that's how the Motown thing used to take place. I had a better understanding by going through the whole situation. So I'm very happy to be here. So as far as myself, when I'm originally born and raised in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, I am, African. I'm an African American from Brazil, because those people who don't care about geography, Brazil is part of the Americas. So,
oh, wow.
So this is the South America of the Americas. We have the North America, South America, and Central America. Yeah. So I'm very proud to be Afro descent, born and raised there. And my beginnings in music start growing up in a Christian household, even though we got also the Jewish heritage as well. But I grew up in a Jewish in a Christian household, and there I started playing in church, in a Baptist church, and that's where I was exposed. My mom singing all types of music in the choir. My father was a tenor. My father passed away in September 10th, but my mom, soprano soloist, was in between Bach and all the classical stuff and some other pieces as well. So and my uncle Moses, when I was 7 years old, he was actually frustrated with the choir, so they were not getting the parts. So he asked me to sing to the choir all the parts: the soprano, the alto, the tenor, and the bass. And that impressed everybody. And then he asked, "No, now come here, you conduct the choir." So I conduct the choir, so demonstrating that I had rhythm. So this was on 7, but my beginnings as far as training didn't start until 12, because my father really wanted me to study electrical technician. That's what it was, the course they used to offer there for teenagers in Brazil. So I said, Daddy, this is not my thing, but I'll go to the orientation. So I went to the orientation. Then I said, Father, please give me a chance. And he said to me, I'm going to give you 30 days. If in 30 days you're able to show up playing a hymn and one classical piece perfectly, I'll continue to invest in your music education. And I was able to do that, and I was very proud to put that together. And that's when I started with music, being influenced by family members, community, and there was an educational TV called TVE in Brazil, where that's what I was exposed to the famous classical concert pianist and everything. And by being exposed to that, I also used to ask the question, how come there's no black classical pianist? What's going on? So my original at those days was to one day become the first black Brazilian concert pianist. But of course, God had another plan for my life. That's the story.
Wow.
I hope I answer your question.
Yes, in a phenomenal way. There's so many gems and just the information you dropped. That was so much to process. Especially to think that you were conducting a choir by age 7 before you even started with your actual training. I mean, yeah, because you said you didn't do that until 12, but that's
Until
still
12,
super young. That's
Yeah.
still so phenomenal and impressive. So especially for
Well,
him to
it wasn't
Go ahead.
easy though because my parents could not afford a piano. So the first time I actually practiced every day with a piano when I moved to the US 1991 and I joined Berklee College of Music. They had piano for us. This is the first time I'm every day practicing.
Wow.
So the fact that I got into music and play for people in Brazil and here is really a divine act, big time.
Wow. That's really incredible. So okay, especially for your dad to say, I'll continue to invest if you can do this, and the fact that you were able to do it within 30 days. I mean, can we talk a little bit about the determination that would take? Because a lot of people love music. Doesn't mean that they have the discipline to, do it and stick with it every day. So do you have any, I guess, maybe tips or advice for anybody that might be
I
kind
would
of
say
struggling?
the first thing is the drive and the intention plays a major role because you're always gonna have some type of a discouragement. Maybe you don't have the transportation to go to the place. Maybe you don't have the instrument. Maybe you don't have the encouragement from the family. You can come up with many possible ways. I'll call that we attest it to see if we really want something. But the drive, the desire, and to see yourself one day doing, and then starting the process, I think was fundamental because I remember I had to walk miles to that teacher in order to have the lesson.
Wow.
So and that was the drive, and to like I said, the desire and the love for music, but desire to really learn one day and to become someone based on the influence that I would see on TV. I was like, I want to play like this person, and then and not allowing the negativity or the tests or the trials and tribulations of life interfere, which was going to be my purpose or destiny.
Man, that's so tremendous. I really appreciate you sharing that. So yeah, you kind of brought us into the early phases. As you started to kind of get more involved with music, what are some of the memorable experiences that you had? I'm sure you've had many, but if you could think of maybe the top few that just kind of stick out along your career, like as you were developing some memories or performances that stuck with you.
To reinforce the whole importance of know who you are and follow the dreams. I remember when Whitney Houston first performed at it was Mandela's birthday, and she performed. I think it was a Manchester concert. I don't remember if it was Wimbledon or Manchester, whatever concert it was. And she was very young. She's performing. It was like on TV in Brazil. And we had those black white TVs, and they used to buy. Remember those? I don't know how old are you, but they used to have this color plastic. They used to, if you didn't have a color TV, you would put those color plastic in front of black and white.
Oh.
To give it the illusion of a color.
Oh, wow.
It was hilarious because pink was always in the same area, green was always in the same area, and yellow was always in the same area. But for us, it's like color. But anyway, watching Whitney Houston perform and she invites her mom, and I remember saying, I just said out of the blue, one day I'm going to play for her. Everybody laughed at me. First of all, Negro, you don't speak English. You in Brazil, you are poor. You're really out of your mind. So years pass by. Now it's 1999. I'm calling Ricky Minor. He was hiring me for a lot of things in Los Angeles those days for the Motown Live show. That's where I got to play for Karen Clark and all those folks. And it was an amazing show. And I called him because I wanted to submit a cassette with a track that I had made, and I wanted to submit for him because he had direct access to Al Jarreau, the late Al Jarreau.
Yeah.
and I should love Al Jarreau. So I was like, man, I have this track. It would be great for him. It's like, man, the album is already released. It's too late. I was like, oh, that's very interesting to call me, Jet, because I am putting together two bands, Chaka Khan and Whitney. Which one do you want? I said to him, well, I already played for Chaka, so I guess I'm going to play for Whitney. So look, the gig is yours. So fast forward, I have to leave the tour a little earlier because the tour got extended. I could not stay. And I had totally forgotten years before when I said to my family one day I'm going to play for her. So Whitney was October 23rd, 1999. We were in Austria. Austria. She, in the middle of the concert, she's like, 3 of my members are leaving today. Sandy Mazel is pregnant. Valerie Pinkston is also leaving because she has 2 dates with Luther. So, and Jethro da Silva is leaving. So, and she starts singing that song, yeah, Jesus loves me, yeah, whatever. She's singing that. And then I close my eyes, I'm playing, and then I feel like someone is looking at me. So when I open my eyes, she was in front of me.
Oh, wow.
In tears and saying to me, thanks. Oh. When she did that, my brain went all the way back to the 80s.
Yeah.
You remember when you said, one day you're going to play for her.
Wow.
Now is the past. So that's one of the memories I can recall. And I hope it is an encouragement to whoever is listening to this right now.
Absolutely. What an incredible story, man. Okay, so on top of having those memories flood back in that moment, just as a musician, how did you feel, I guess, moving her to that point?
Well, Whitney was an amazing musician. By the way, she knew exactly which parts supposed to be there. She would call you out if she was very classy. She would not do that, but I remember I witnessed that she doing that a few times when it was pretty clear that person had to do some homework. But she really knew to be part of the head band was really a privilege, and to remain as a member was definitely a privilege because many people got the call, they never got the call back. I joined the band in 1999, and I no longer joined the band when she passed away. And I was invited to be one of the alums to play for her funeral. So that was a statement that I was part of those who marked her career. And as a musician was incredible because there's a story where when we were rehearsing, where I realized in 1999 we're the new band. We have this guy named Mario McKinley. Mario McKinley is a musical director for Earth, Wind & Fire.
Oh.
And we were playing keys, but we was different than the other gigs. Usually have keyboard 1, keyboard 2, right? But this was different. This was like, we were like, do you want to play the piano in this one? Or you want to play piano in this one? You know what I mean? It was like that vibe. We switch around everything. So I remember that I was in an event, and Juby Smith was the guitar player and Alex Evans. So I realized that all of us had totally different background. Some of us had a degree in music, some of us never had a degree in music, some of us grew up playing quartet, some of us didn't, and some of us, like me, grew up listening to Stevie Wonder at the same time, Bossa Nova and all that. So, but all of us consisted this group. Michael Baker was a musical director. Michael Baker was a fusion jazz musician, drummer. So, but we had this common contribution, musical contribution for this icon. Wow. So on the planet, you could find any musician that could be even better than all of us.
Wow.
However, we were the perfect one for that time, that season, for her as musicians, with our musical contribution for her career.
Wow. Yeah, that's gotta feel amazing.
It was incredible because we had the privilege to play for her at her best and not so quite the best in the end. So we saw the whole spectrum, and we understood our responsibility was beyond musical contribution, was an emotional contribution, was a spiritual contribution. All that entails as the choices of voicings that we had to support her. So it was that show how much we care for her and how much we were as a family, not just drinking together, talking together, having fun, but also when we were on stage performing before millions and millions of people.
Wow, that's a really interesting thing to point out. A lot of times you can, well, with technology being the way that it is, it makes collaborations easier, but sometimes that energy can be missing. And I can't help but think that it's just, exactly what you described, instead of just the music, like connecting on a spiritual level that kind of makes everything just gel together. I think that that's something that should probably be focused on more. Yes.
Well, Ricky Martin usually say you can get anybody to do a gig, but you cannot force someone with a bad attitude to stay in a gig. Because it's about playing together. It's about supporting. It's about complementing one another.
Yeah.
And we were there, even though the show was 100% pre-recorded. But we were the band that if the Pro Tools would go down, we could carry on the concert. And the audience would not feel the joke because we knew all the parts.
Okay.
So we play on top of the computer. At the same time, there are times when the computer crashed or whatever, we kept going, and people didn't feel the difference. We just find out about it after the concert, because the guy that was in charge of the computer kept somehow the clicking our ears. So we all the time we thinking that the track was happening, but wasn't.
Wow.
So that was the difference from us and many other performers.
Man, yeah, that's phenomenal. Because we've seen it, and a lot of us have experienced where technology didn't go as planned.
Exactly.
So what tips do you have for somebody to kind of recover from that? When that happens, to keep pushing, and maybe some tips to go forward in the future to be able to continue.
I would say preparation. Prepare crashes too. Simulate a crash. What would you do? Create those situations. You know what I mean? Like the military. Preparation, I think, is the key, because it's inevitable. That can happen. I don't care how many computers you have synchronized. Something can take place where the sequencing may stop. So, and if that happens, for the performer, is to act like it's part of the show for the performer. And for those who are the musician or the DJ or whatever, is to keep calm and make sure you have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D and a plan EF. So, and it's because the show must go on and people pay a lot of money to watch you, and you got to make sure you are prepared. Like, for example, I was invited to I'm the guest professor for 1 week at Oral Roberts University, which is going to be interesting for me to be there. And the last day of the concert is going to be a concert with the gospel choir. So I asked them, I want to rehearse every day. So they probably think we don't need to do every day. But that's precisely what I'm going to go through. If this goes wrong, are we ready to do these songs a cappella? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We ready to do that. We gotta make sure the parts sounds not just about knowing the parts. I be able to come up with solutions on the spot, and that's why I have instead of a list of 10 songs, I have 18, 20 songs.
Wow.
Because even though schools are behind, they always behind of the real world. So they ask you to send the list of songs, the order of the concert. Where in a real concert, you an experienced person, you know, sometimes you don't put together the real order until you try out the first or second concert. It's like that may not work. You watch the video again or whatever, so you're like, no, you're gonna have to make some changes. So, but we sent to them, but I'm gonna prepare the students for any type of change that may occur. You know.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really great tip to be that thorough, to make sure, because like you said, inevitably something probably will happen.
Something probably will happen.
Yeah. So, okay, you had mentioned being a guest professor. You've been in music education for a while. Can you talk a little bit about kind of how you were able to work that into your schedule?
I was a professor at Berklee College of Music from 2001 until 2015. Then I was arts relations for Roland, and then I went back to Berklee in 2017. I stayed 1 year. Then I worked at Holton College in New York for like 2 semesters, a full year. And then because of Corona, I got stuck in California. Because I don't know if you remember those months we cannot travel.
Yes.
So basically, I had to stay here. So music education comes to me when I was invited to become the new, to apply for the position of assistant chair of the piano department at Berklee College of Music, which, to my surprise, I served them for a while, and then I became professor on ensemble department, contemporary writing, and then later in the harmony department. So the great thing about the transition between administration and teaching, going to teaching, was interaction with the student and really play the role of a music educator as opposed to only administrator.
Okay.
And there we learn a lot about students, learning styles, and then bringing what I did. I became the bridge of the real world into the academia. So the class that I did design, they had everything to do with preparation to the real world. And today, I'm happy to say that I would say 75 to 80% of the students who study with me, they are in the music business right now, doing very, very well, and they attribute to that a lot to the class they took with me. Because of the whole time like you're talking about, I remember what I said earlier, to the preparation aspect for the concert. So we talk about all these things. So they brought all these tools, so they would show up to situations, and people would highlight. Like I had a class called Divas Live, where I was the first at Berklee to make students learn 20 songs per week.
Mm.
Now, someone may say, that's not pedagogically correct. Well, when you leave the school and you start getting wedding bands, sometimes somebody sends you a recording of 120 songs and you have 72 hours to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was doing really was doing a brain exercise and learning methodology, how to learn songs, a certain amount of songs quickly, and be able to plant or to put as much information as possible in your brain in order for you to be successful. Even though in 24 hours learning all these tunes, the person who hired you like, man, the gig is yours. I don't want to bring the other person back. And many share that with me. So that's one aspect. The other aspect, the technology, a lot of them became great producers because of the whole problem solving, creating problems. You still got to make client is helping, you lost all the data. You still got to come up with something before they press the belt to come to your house. The ding dong, you got by the time they get in the car, whatever, you got to have 4 bars ready quick to say, work on this, what you think, because you lost all the other data.
Right.
So everything was based on my failures and based on my success and the lessons that I learned. So music education became very dear, and then I pursued more training, and that's when I earned a doctorate degree, master degree. But this came after years teaching. So that's the music education. So how did the last part of your question is, how did I manage to teach and still do the business, right?
Yes.
So at Berkeley, for example, Whitney was working 3-4 times per year. So I use the travel with Whitney as material for the school. So every time I travel, I made that into class material. So that made me a very popular faculty in the college. Because the kids will sign up. I wanted up with him because he plays for Whitney, and he always kids because the students they let everybody know whatever. So that's how I was able to conciliate both careers at the same time.
Wow, that's really amazing. Yeah, I could definitely see the excitement too. You know, like every time, like, okay, I wonder what he gained this time.
Exactly. And if you look at professors from the major leagues, colleges, the Ivy Leagues or whatever, you learn that the professor is always researching. Real professors, they're always researching, always getting new material. They go to take a class with somebody. It might not be him or her, maybe an assistant. Because that person might be in sabbatical doing more research to write a book or whatever. So that's the thing that I was doing my own way, doing the same thing.
Wow. Yeah, that is great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, everything that you've said so far has been, your experience has been very inspirational. And it does just kind of, have that air of hope for people looking for success, just the way that you were able to achieve it and stick with it. And you've even got some more stuff in the works currently. If you could talk about that a little bit to let people know what they can expect coming forward from you.
Okay, right now I'm playing much more of the role of producer artist. So right now I have some cooking dates coming up. Possibly some dates with my jazz quartet in Japan and possibly Europe. But at the same time, I'm producing the young lady named Antonia Bennett. That's Tony Bennett's daughter. And our project is becoming very exciting. As a matter of fact, when I finish here, I'm going to drive to Malibu. We're going to be working on some of her vocals. And this project is basically, the theme is American music with bossa nova twist or Brazilian music twist. So we caught a few already. They sound fantastic. And when we have something amazing to play, we make sure we send it to you for you to show your audience.
Awesome. Absolutely love that. And I really hope that this is just the first time of many. I would love to have you back on again.
I'll be honored. Enjoy speaking with you, especially a beautiful sister from Detroit. No, between Detroit, what city you said you are from?
From Kalamazoo. We're halfway between Detroit and Chicago.
That's right, Chicago, right there. That's a very dear area. I have many great friends from there. Cats like Anthony Wanzi, Herbie Hancock, and to name a few. They're all from the Chicago area, so you're all dear to me.
Oh, that's what's up. So yeah, I hope this was just part one, because like I said, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, your wisdom. So yeah, lots of nuggets for us all to kind of take and try to incorporate into our careers. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me here.
All right. And before we go, can you let people know where they can follow you, find you online and all that good stuff?
Right now, the best way will be Instagram at J-E-T as in Tom, R-O, D as in dog, A, S-I-L-V-A. Once again, at J-E-T as in Tom, R-O, D as in dog, A, S-I-L-V-A. So that's my Instagram page. I also have Jetro Scholar at Jetro, J-E-T-R-O, Scholar, one word, all together. So those are where I'm going to be posting a lot of great content, especially now when we are working. I'll be probably doing some videos today in the studio. And as soon as we get a confirmation from the manager about the dates, we make sure you guys know about our performances as a jazz trio, or quartet, I'm sorry.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And I'm already looking forward to part two.
Thank you so much. Let's just set up a date. Let's make that happen. You got it.
All right. And that's a wrap for this episode of Instrumental Intel. I've been your host, music producer, Chick with Beats. And I want to thank you for tuning in. Once again, as always, I appreciate the guests for coming on and sharing their insights. And I'd like to thank my home station, Grander Radio, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Make sure you come back next week. I got more goodness lined up for you. So till next time, you know where to find me. Tune in, tell a friend, and I'll see you then. Peace.